Hi, Amanda. How are you?
Good,
Good.
good.
It's nice to
Yeah.
get nice to get a hold of you. Thank you for coming. You seem
Yes.
really busy with your kid there and stuff. Yeah.
Yes, the little hand might be here the whole time. We'll see.
Right. Okay. So, you do you have a history in typology at all? Did you?
Well, I was first typed by my mother when I was 12. She
Oh,
was into
wow.
right.
Okay.
um, she was into the Please Understand Me. I think that was the book. Was that the Kiersey book? I think.
Okay.
Um, yeah, so she was into that a lot, and so I kind of picked up some of her books and started reading it in high school.
Oh, wow.
And
What were you
so
typed as?
initially, INTJ.
INTJ by your mother.
Right.
Right. And what is she typed as?
I think she typed herself as ISFP.
Okay. All right.
So, you know,
Is she involved also in the is she still involved in this kind of thing or no?
no, no, not so much. I think
Okay.
that was age for her. I kind of came back to it later on,
Right.
and probably about 3 years ago, discovered more of the online MBTI community, and then discovered functions, and
Right.
so that was interesting.
Right. And so how did you get into Dave's superpowers and objective personality and that?
Well, I was already listening to him on his podcast and YouTube, along with some of the other people. So I think he must have had a link in the podcast at some point and
Really?
found the website. Yeah, so that was, I don't know, last May, I think. I signed up in
Okay.
June. Maybe I signed up as soon as I found it.
Right. So you were
Hmm.
taking the class and you got typed like pretty recently then.
Yeah, I kind of put it off for a while for various reasons.
Right.
Um, I kind of enjoyed keeping it open
Right.
and being typecast. I didn't really know what I would get
Right.
because I kind of bounced around between types. And I had friends um, who independently thought I was ENTP, um, but I'd
Wow.
also
Okay.
tested ENFJ, and and I like was trying to convince my family, no, I'm an EFJ,
Right.
um, for whatever reason they weren't seeing it. So um, I think the idea of having a private self and a public self, and if you're viewing from the outside, you're going to see the extroverted functions and maybe your
Yeah, I
own
can see
family
that. I can see that. Yeah.
your introverted functions. Yeah.
Right.
Um,
So
so that,
you did you have like an idea of what your type was before you were typed?
well, when I first joined up, I was thinking NEFE or FENE when I first heard about their jumper philosophy before I was
Right.
taking.
Okay.
Um, and I could still see that, but um, I think I didn't want to lock into it in case it,
Yeah.
you know, uh, it was more fun to play around with all the different types.
Right.
But then I made a video in October, and a few people requested to see that. And so I started getting some consistent feedback,
Oh,
which was
was it
interesting. And
did
it was,
the feedback match with what they ended up? Yeah.
well, not quite, not
Okay.
quite.
All right. So this is interesting. All right. You're dropping
Mhm.
some bombshells here. Okay.
Well, I got a pretty consistent feedback on the FE, which actually initially, even though I had said I wanted to be, an ENFJ, um,
Right.
I actually was a little bit surprised to get that feedback.
Okay.
Um, Although, I was also watching myself on the group, and I knew that I was taking that role a little bit
I
within the
see.
group, and
Right.
so that would be a strategy. And I can definitely see the patterns over my lifetime of that human need for community and connection.
Above
Probably,
yourself, at the expense of self.
yeah. See, and I wouldn't really have put it that way,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, yeah. Because you were unaware. It was yeah. It's
Mhm.
just automatic.
Yeah, I think I saw myself as being a lot more opinionated and kind of finding my own way of making those connections and finding that community.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. For sure.
Right. So I could also, like, when I initially watched a lot of Dave's YouTube videos, I could identify pretty strongly with the IPs as far as trying to inspire people and, you know, gain a following in that way. Because I had run some homeschool groups and started some things that were based on how I wanted to do things, and
Right.
um
But
and
you weren't doing it for yourself.
well, see, I thought of it as doing it for myself because I was
Wow.
trying to meet that need that I
Right.
knew that.
Right. Okay. Yeah. 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 That makes sense. So like you have that need to do for others. So you by doing for others, you're doing for yourself, sort of thing.
No.
No.
I know that that makes sense.
Right.
But no, it's more that if I offer something to a value to others, then I will get what I need in addition. So, like for instance, I started a new thing. My son entered 7th grade, and I just felt I had had a new baby, and I just felt we were at kind of a turning point in our homeschooling, and he needed something outside of what our current community was giving him, and I needed something outside of what our current community was giving me. So for me, it felt mutual at that point to look for something that would meet all of our needs, including my own, but that I could also throw myself into. Um, yeah, I guess I have the energy to do that, and I feel the need to expend it. Maybe that's part of it, that
Okay.
extrovert. I just wasn't really connecting with some of the people that were in our group at that time, and then there was some drama that I wasn't, that because I was the head of things, I ended up having to play a role in. It wasn't my drama, but you know, that just happens over and over. And I wanted something that I didn't have to be responsible for the stress.
I really like what you said there, that it just happens over and over. Like this is just really OP, this thing that these patterns start
Yeah,
happening. Yeah.
it's true. It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, mom groups tend to do that.
Right.
I've
Okay.
My current group has kind of weeded down from we've been through a lot together, and so like there's no drama right now with.
So I don't know your type yet. You haven't told me. But
Oh, sorry.
yeah, no,
Yes.
no, no. But I'm just trying to guess before you actually reveal it. So
Oh,
I
okay.
can see that you have like maybe blast and play as your two savior animals. Is that true?
Yeah, that's our
Yeah.
type.
Okay. And I'm trying to decide like which one is more, because I know you have FE, and I'm trying to
Mm-hmm.
decide which one is more, either play or blast, and it's interesting.
Uh-huh.
Um, because I'm getting a lot of play, but and your blast is, I think, is a little bit below play. Is that correct or no?
Mm. Well,
No.
that's how everyone in the group typed me.
Wow. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
They either gave me PC or CP.
And so then Dave and Shannon typed you blast above play.
Right.
Right. Okay. Did they give a reason for that? Did they go into it at all, or?
They said it was tricky, but
Yeah.
that there was some assumption, like we talked before we got started about homeschooling philosophies.
Right.
There was some assumption of what my day looks like that I really tried to explain in my video. Maybe I didn't do it it didn't do a very good job.
Okay.
Um, that there seemed to be some assumption that I am literally spending my day teaching my children.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I know that Shannon has mentioned in the past that she as consume above blast would feel unprepared to take on the responsibility of educating her own son, um, because of that. So I can see where blast and the role of teacher makes sense in that context.
Well, it's a savior for sure. It's definitely a
Yeah.
savior. Yeah, they're both your savior.
As far as it being how I spend the majority of my time, that's not really what it looks like, and it's not really why I got into homeschooling. And if I
Okay.
look around at a lot of other homeschoolers and how they do things, and a lot of them are literally teaching all day, there is a contrast there, and I haven't quite reconciled that with the type that
Okay.
they gave me. I mean, I can see reasons for it, but it's also, I don't know if you want to guess the functions before I
No, yeah,
finish.
yeah. I'm looking back and forth, but I'm thinking maybe more SINE than NISE. Is that correct? Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. That's just a guess. I 50-50.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Um. s-
So the NE would be double activated.
Oh, okay. So you're consume. Okay.
Right, right.
Wow. Sleep last.
Yeah, yeah.
That's tough.
Yes, and it wouldn't have been my first guess,
Really?
oddly enough. Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I can see how it is played out that way, um, as far as becoming last priority. I can see
Right.
that. Um, and
Okay, yeah, we'll get into what they each mean. Okay,
okay.
so then your NEFE play region, and then you have your SIFE blast region. Um, so like which one? Maybe we talk about them independently and then see how they work together. Yeah.
Sure.
So let's start with your savior, your blast. Well, what they claim is your savior. Yeah. So what's that
Mhm.
about?
Well, I think I would see it as the starting new. Um, a lot of people put me blast last, interestingly
Wow.
enough. But uh, and I could see how it kind of goes around in a circle. So if I were typed PC SB by a lot of people, and Dave and Shannon basically moved that blast up to the front. So
Right.
it's essentially the same circle, same order if you're going around and around. Um, I I can see how when things kind of fall apart in my life, I look around for something new to begin.
To begin.
Um,
What about
yeah.
finishing something you've already started?
Well, things might finish themselves, or it might just. No, that's true. I don't always finish what I start.
Okay. Do you tend to take on
um,
a lot of things, like too many things on yourself that you
um, I don't.
Sorry.
I don't. Bless you.
Thanks.
I don't feel like I do. Although I would say most people would say 5 kids qualifies as that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
But it seems like the same thing. It's not really a new thing in the
Right.
sense, you know. Um,
And they're spaced out, your kids.
yeah, there's
Yeah.
there's some gaps in there for sure. Um, but um, I think if I get stuck, I get stuck in that sleep state of trying to process something maybe that has happened, that I don't really know how to interpret. And I have to get that process before I can start a new thing. But the starting the new thing is going to make me feel better in the end. So,
Okay.
um, so is that, the savior state? Am I getting stuck in a demon sleep
You tell
state?
me.
And
Yeah.
savior is,
Yeah, I don't know. Like even if it's not, if it is demon, if it isn't demon your sleep, it's important to do it. Like it's something
right,
that's, yeah. Um, whether it's
right.
difficult for you or easy for you, or that only you can tell me,
Yeah.
but yeah. But like I see you every so often drift off as if you're in like like in this little brief sleep moment like that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think people saw that and assumed that that was like the sleep
Okay.
before blast. Like I
Right.
had to do that in order to move on. But
Right.
Shannon said that was the first thing she noticed, and she saw it as sleep blast. So I don't think that she explained that, and maybe hasn't talked enough about that in the class
Yeah,
to know,
that's true.
what
Yeah.
we're looking for
Right.
to interpret that.
Okay. And so then what about your play? How does that work? How does that express itself?
Well, I definitely need time with people, bouncing ideas back and forth. So I
I see.
think I talked about in my video some of the hardest times being postpartum, where you're stuck at home and it's
Right.
just
Yeah.
harder to get out. And so I'm in a couple book groups and just getting out of the house and, getting to talk to people. And of course, all the time I spend on OP,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's pretty
I'm in the
big.
same boat as you there. It's
Yeah,
addictive.
it is very addictive.
Yeah. Okay, so your FE is masculine or feminine?
Feminine.
Okay. All right.
Hmm.
And then your SI is
Also feminine.
okay, double feminine. Okay.
Mhm.
Lots of feminine energy then.
I guess so.
Yeah. And then you have double masculine demons apparently
Hmm.
in your in consume, which is okay.
Right.
Right. So was it hard for you to learn? Like you went through a degree, you did anthropology, right? So
Yeah, school was never hard.
it wasn't hard. Okay. Well,
No.
I guess that's your NT consume. So NT consume is probably pretty strong. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Pretty automatic and strong for you, right? Yeah.
you'd say so. I mean, that's what my family and friends saw, was the
Right.
masculine.
Yeah, and they're masculine too, so they're pretty dominant. Yeah.
Right.
Interesting.
Hmm.
And okay. All right, so let's talk about the functions. Like what's your FE like? How do you experience it?
I think just that automatic awareness of people in the room, or even not, but it served me well when I was leading homeschool groups, because it was never difficult to kind of see what people needed. And
Wow.
um,
And you're constantly aware of that? Like this is your consciousness. Your consciousness is there in other people, seeing what they want, seeing what they yeah?
yeah, I think so. I mean, enough that I didn't necessarily think about it until I learned about the function as a function.
Right.
Um, but I do well with little kids, just silly interactions, and
And do you feel like you're addicted to your savior too? Like you need to relate to people constantly as well?
yeah, I don't know if it's constantly, but it's hard to see where I'm not, since I always do have people around. I mean, I definitely we have stretches. My husband is very introverted, high
Okay.
consume, high sleep. I haven't exactly figured out which is which yet. But um he can sit on the couch and be doing his thing and like not really notice what's happening, and I'll be sitting nearby doing my thing, but I'm still kind of conscious of, are the kids doing what they are, what they should be doing, or
Right.
anybody needing anything. And but we've trained each other well to kind of
Right.
swap roles and take turns. And so he'll jump up, I just might have to be the first to say it. you
Right.
know he doesn't leave it all on me to do that kind of thing.
And it's also like it's not very authoritative, your FE. It's like because it's feminine, right? So it's like
Right.
so it's more suggestions or manipulations, or what is it? How does that work?
I would say suggestions, um, aiming for consistent expectations, not always getting there, but yeah, trying to know where each person is, so that I'm not trying to push them over somewhere else. I'm more trying to, okay, well, this is where you are. This is what I need. This is what has to happen. So maybe a little bit more negotiations, at least, um,
Right.
at least until it's just a regular pattern. And
Are you also aware of your SI? Your planning?
um, yeah, I think I do. I do like to have things planned as far as knowing that then I have something to look forward to. I cannot and do not plan down to the minute or hour.
Right.
Um, so I can see that the feminine side of that, that
Right.
I struggle with that because I can see where I waste a lot of time and where we're not very efficient. Um, because I would rather, um, because I don't want to be locked in some kind of um, hard and fast rules about how we spend our day.
And what
Um,
about like sentimentality and memories of sensations and things like this? Subjective sensations.
yeah.
I don't know if
Uh,
that's too personal, but
no, I'm not sure that I've thought about that side of it, at
okay.
least recently. Um, I mean, I have attachments
Sorry.
things that I like. Um, I am sensitive, like I don't like to be physically uncomfortable. Um, and I will avoid things. I'll avoid doing things that create that uncomfortable sensation.
Okay.
So I can see that. Whereas if I can make things easier to move around in, then I'm more likely to do it.
Are you very conscious about other people's personal space and things like this too?
I would say yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And are you aware of your NE at all, or is it more unconscious?
No, I'd say I'm aware of it.
Your intuition. How
Mm-hmm.
does what kind of intuition do you have when you? How does it influence your decisions and?
Um, an interesting way of putting it. I think it's just it really is that gathering of ideas. So for me, it's definitely heavily related to everything I read and what I go searching for. If I'm struggling for what direction to go next, or
And you see patterns like just patterns that are masculine patterns that just can't change. These are the patterns you see. You pick up on them.
yeah, I'm trying to think of a context for that.
Right.
Yeah, like for me, like for math, for instance, which I still help the kids in math. I'm not sitting down and teaching an explicit math lesson because to me it just doesn't even require that. You're just playing around with the idea, you're working out the problem.
Mm-hmm.
um, and so, but where I got stuck kind of in math and where I stopped moving forward in school was where it was harder to figure out, and it was more, now you have to memorize this set of rules or this step-by-step method. And it was more the memorizing of the memorizing of the abstract
Right. So
patterns rather than,
the feminine SI wasn't, yeah,
yeah, yeah, that's I think where I got more tripped up.
interesting.
um so I could see the patterns and I could figure it out, but if it
What
got,
about like predicting and seeing possibilities and things around you? Yeah, you
oh
get that?
yeah,
Yeah. So like, I guess it would come out a lot with your like with your FE together with your children and stuff. Like you would see what they need, what kind of patterns they're in, what they're, yeah, you get that?
yeah, yeah, and just see, okay, well, what needs to happen next, where what's missing from this picture that I need to fill in.
And
um
and would you ever like, so would you pick up a pattern that might not be true, but it's hard to let go of sometimes?
Ooh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I can get a little stuck, I think, playing the same kind of thing over and over, um and needing someone to say, but that's not, but how it is right at this moment and the pattern that's playing out right at this moment is not how it's always going to be.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So my husband will have to say that to me sometimes.
Right.
Um,
And it will help. You'll be able to let go of it, or
yeah, it will help. It might still be, painful.
right,
I
right.
might deny it initially, but it feels so real.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah. But
know?
are there times where he's wrong and you were right? Well, always, right?
Of course.
Uh, okay. And what about your demon TI, your masculine TI?
Yeah, that has really been the most interesting thing since getting typed to think about it in terms of that. Um, because I really thought they were more in the middle. Anytime I took the MBTI test, it was like 50-50 F and T.
Really?
So it's like I'm definitely aware of the TI, but I can also see how I can get FE moved.
By the TI.
Yeah.
Wow.
And also to get to let to if I'm in a really rough place emotionally, that I might not go to the TI first to say, no, this is what I really think, this is what's really true here.
Yeah.
Um, because the emotional aspect is kind of overriding and coloring everything.
When you think something is true, is it hard to let go of it not being true? Or yeah.
Yeah.
And
If
do you
I'm
often,
really right, I know I'm right.
yeah,
I'm right.
right. And no one can say anything different. Yeah.
And it's not even like a need to be right. It just is.
It's just right.
Like
Like
it's
that's
just
just the way it
right.
works. Yeah. It's just true.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And when will you go out and consume then? So when will you go learn new things and
Well, I kind of try to fit it in wherever I can, which
right.
sometimes, takes over if there's
You,
not enough structure to keep me from it.
like you have to plan and make time for it. It doesn't happen naturally.
No, no, no. It will happen all day long if I don't put limits on it.
You consume.
Mm-hmm.
Really? Okay.
In the sense that if I have everybody, this is the thing, I have to kind of know everybody else is settled.
Right.
So I'm still responsible for that.
Others first, me
I,
second.
right. So if I don't have that covered, then I do have some guilt about the time that I spend
I see.
consuming for myself.
And have you been able to like relieve some of that guilt now that you're in OP a little bit and say I need my time and it's okay or no?
Well, that's the thing. It kind of has turned me upside down a little bit to think that the consume is in third place and not in second, because
But
it means
you just
that
said
I
it was
am.
like in other words, you just said it was like you just said that you're doing everything for other people first before
Mhm.
you can go and consume before otherwise you'll feel guilty and that's your feeling. That's your FE. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah,
So it's not that I don't choose to do that, because if you're on vacation, what do? Are you using your saviors that you use all the time, or are you choosing to do something different? If you
right.
really want freedom. So it's more that there is still that sense of responsibility for it. But if it doesn't feel like I'm that needed,
Right.
then I'd rather do,
Oh, you'd
um,
rather do it. Yeah. Nice.
yeah,
So like when you were younger and you didn't have a family and you didn't have all these responsibilities, you would
that's
end up
all I
consuming
did.
a lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Books under the desk at school, on the couch reading all summer. My
Really?
friends are outside riding their bike back and forth in front of my house. And I'm like, I'm not done with my book. But then I would also, I got my fill, I think, of the play at school because you're with people all the time. And I had sisters, so you're never really alone, even as a
So you would
kid.
read more towards the evenings and during the day you would get your play done?
Well, I mean, in the classroom and on the playground. Yeah.
Right.
Just thinking in those terms. And I was really busy and active in activities like in high school and college. So yeah, there was less consumed there. I think I think that is the thing, that it just sort of depends on what was happening with everybody else around me. Because if there's an opportunity to socialize, then I'm
Yeah.
mostly going to go that direction, depending
Right.
on the type of socializing. Like there
Right.
was a time on Friday nights in the dorm that I wanted to stay in and work on my website, and they were all going out dancing. I'm like, well, we did that last weekend, you know?
Right. But also working on your website sounds like it would be some kind of blast.
Could be,
Yeah.
could be.
So you're like, play, blast, I don't know what we're doing. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I wanted to get up early and have, the dorm laundry room to myself in the morning.
For laundry. Okay. Yeah, that's also like getting things done. That's also, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
more
you
efficient.
like,
I sit and
yeah.
read. So
Okay.
I can see it, I can see both directions and see how the middle two
Right.
are balanced.
And what about the double observer thing? Is that more like, yeah,
Hmm.
you're okay with your observations, you have no problem with control and chaos, well, less problem with, at least, yeah,
Yeah, it's interesting because I
juggling
think
them.
we see those things
Right.
more. So I thought that I was struggling with control and chaos
Okay.
before I got typed.
Wow.
And um but I can see how um the people issues are harder to look at. Um so they would be harder to see. Just because of pain instead of fear. And I'm really not a fearful person.
Okay.
So I can see it from that angle as well, that um, if I'm really stressed, I might freak out about little things.
Yeah, yeah.
And, yeah, there have been moments where it's hard to tell whether it's the missing information or the people thing.
Right. The self and
So,
tribe, yeah.
right.
But like most of your struggles in your life would have been with self and tribe, you think? Is that more accurate?
Well, that's what my type would look like.
Yeah, but
Um,
I'm asking about you. Yeah.
I know,
Not
I
your type.
know. I
Yeah.
think I haven't. I don't think I've really seen that yet. I
You
don't.
haven't, maybe you haven't noticed it, or it just wasn't there.
Well, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Um,
So yeah, I am getting a lot of lack of sleep here, because like a lot of these questions that are hard for you to answer, it comes from that this lack of sleep, this lack of introspection, this lack of, yeah,
mm-hmm.
very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that in my 20s, before having kids, I did try to work on that more. I was better about journaling, um, choosing books that were more that flavor.
Right.
Um,
But
you know,
like,
encourage that. But it's been a long time since I've really.
but even journaling, it doesn't necessarily mean you're spending that time to introspect, that time to get in touch with yourself and
Mhm.
know yourself. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Interesting. So that's a demon, I guess. That's a demon. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I come from a family that has a fair amount of missing sleep.
Yeah, you think so? Okay.
Yeah, it's possible.
But like your husband, for example, has sleep. He's in
Yes.
touch. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say yes.
Okay. And your kids are too, that you can see.
They're kind of a mixture.
Yeah.
Kind of a mixture.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you have anything you want to promote? Anything you're working on, a blog? I don't know, something that you want to,
Oh, no,
no?
not at
A
the
YouTube
moment.
channel or
I
no?
did have one idea that just sort of occurred to me, just as far as um, how we define the temperaments and some of the stereotypes, you know, that go um, with the quadrants. And so I was an anthropology major. So
Right.
to me, the SF fits in there if you define it as culture. And so I feel like the role of the SF is to help um, model and guide kind of that, to create culture. And that, you know, and that can be in lots of different forms. But I really like thinking of the NTs as mind, and the
Right.
NS as spirit, and the STs as body.
Okay.
And then all of those things need to be incorporated in our culture. And I think anytime we're out of balance, that's where you see more of a negative impression.
Thank you very much, Amanda. It was very,
Thank
very nice
you.
to talk to you. I had a good time, and yeah, we'll do it again.
Good.
So
Okay. Take care.
bye.